Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vâng. I come from Pasteur Institute in Trang, and today I'm very glad to see you. And I will present some results about the prevalent and molecular characteristic of extended spectrum beta-lactamase producing enterobacteriaceae in retail foods in Central Vietnam. As you know, antibiotic resistance has increased in recent years and raising the concerns of public health authority. Extended spectrum beta-lactamase ESBL producing bacteria are resistant to third generation cephalosporin as well as other classes of antibiotics. And also contamination of foods with multi-antibiotic resistant bacteria, particularly ESBL-producing enterobacteriaceae, is considered a potential source for the wide dissemination of ESBL-producing bacteria in community. And some results from such projects about determining the outbreak mechanism and development of surveillance models for multi-root resistant bacteria in Vietnam. From March 2012 to March 2017, we find that more than 65% of people are colonized with AMR bacteria, and more than 50% livestock and aquatic foods are contaminated with AMR bacteria. And about antibiotics in foods, more than 10% of foods have residual antibiotics, and beta-lactam and colistin are widely used in the community. So we conduct some study to monitor prevalent and molecular characteristics of ESBL-producing enterobacteriaceae in retail foods in Central Vietnam. And about materials and methods, we purchase food sample from retail market in the Central Province in Vietnam. And for isolations, Salmonella and E. coli. And about isolation Salmonella, we purchase raw meat, including chicken, beef, and pork meat, with a total of 990 samples. And isolation for E. coli, we purchase raw meat, including chicken and pork and shrimp, with a total of 350 samples. And after that, we isolate bacteria and determine ESBL phenotyping, determine antimicrobial susceptibilities, and determines ESBL genotype for multiplex PCR. About antimicrobial resistance, we determine antibiogram with 14 antibiotics belong to beta-lactam, aminoglycosides, tetracycline, quinolone, chloramphenicol, fosfomycin, and sulfonamides. And ESBL phenotype were determined by the double-disc synergy test as recommended by CLSI. And determined ESBL genotype were assessed by multiplex PCR using primer specific to HHV, TEM group, and CTEM group. And we get some results. At the table 1 shows prevalence of antimicrobial resistance of Salmonella isolated from raw meats in the central region, Vietnam. And you can see the prevalence of antimicrobial resistance of Salmonella isolated from chickens were significantly higher pork and beef. For example, with ampicillin, streptomycin, chloramphenicol, tetracycline, etc. And the proportions of ESBL producing Salmonella were 7.1%. And we can see that in the prevalence of ESBL producing salmonella isolate from chickens were significantly higher than pork and beef. Maybe in Vietnam, the use of antibiotics in the chicken farm more common than pig and beef farming. And on ESBL producing salmonella were multi-rust resistant. In the table 3 shows the identification of ESBL genes detected in ESBL producing salmonella isolate from raw meat. And we have 22 ESBLs producing salmonella were positive with CTHM9 group, and only 2 strains positive with TEM group, and no strains positive with CTHM1, CTHM2, CTHM8, and HSV. And we also do conjugation experiment for transfers gene encoding, ESBL gene encoding. And in the figure 1, you can see A and B's AE recipients bacterial strains E. coli C600, and BE donor bacterial strains Salmonella, and in the MC agar medium. And we get the results. In the C's, the conjugated bacterial strains can develop on MC agar supplemented with cefotaxime. This indicates that the conjugated bacterial strains will receive the cefotaxime gene resistant from Salmonella. And in the figure 2, we can see the PCR profile of the conjugated bacterial strains carrying CTHM9. These is the donor bacterial strains and positive with CTHM9, as either recipient bacterial strains E. coli C600 and negative with CTHM9. And after do its conjugation experiment, the results show that the conjugated bacterial strains were positive with CTHM9. This is the table 4 shows the conjugation experiment for the transfers of the gene encoding is ESBL, and we detect one strain ESBL producing Salmonella transfer plasmid carrying CTHM9 gene to the recipient E. coli C600 with low conjugation efficiencies of 4 times 10 the power of -5. About antimicrobial resistance of E. coli strains, we detect MDRs were observed in the high number of ESBL producing E. coli with 85.9%. And the number of MDRs isolated were particularly high in poultries were 96.4%, followed by pork in about 74.5% and shrimp 54.5%. And we also found a significant number of isolates, about 41.7% with MDR to 6 antibiotic groups, in addition to the beta-lactam group in poultry sample. This is the tables shows about the prevalence of genotype of ESBL producing E. coli isolate from food sample. And we can see that we detect a high prevalence of strand harbors. The combinations of gene encoding enzymes of CTM1 or CTM9 plus TEM groups with 35% and 16.2% respectively. About another of our studies, we do blood mix experiment, blood mix analysis, and in the ESBL producing E. coli harbors CTM55, isolate from pork meat, from wholesale market, and from patients with urinary tract infection. And interestingly, we detect that in the first figures, ESBL producing E. coli harbor CTM55 isolated from pork meat were encoded on blood meat of several sizes, from 100 to 200 kpb blood meat. But in the figure 2 and the figure 3 was the ESBL E. coli 55 isolate from worker, wholesale market worker, and from UTI patient, and we can see the blood mix in size were 104 to 139 kpb. This indicated that 104 and 139 kpb blood mix encoding CTM55 might have been selected for transfer from pork to human. And from our results, we get some conclusions. Prevalence of ESBL producing Salmonella from Romis were 7.2%, and on ESBL producing Salmonella were MDR. ESBL genes of CTM9 group and TEM groups were identified in ESBL producing Salmonella was 95% and 8% respectively. And ESBL producing E. coli from retail foods was 40.6%. MDR were observed in a high number of ESBL producing E. coli with 85.9%. And we detected a high prevalence of strains harboring the combinations of genes encoding enzymes of CTM1 or CTM9 plus TEM group with 35% and 16% respectively. So that's we think further monitoring and public health effort targeting food administrations at need to control the spread of antibiotic-resistant bacteria in community in Vietnam. My presentations is over here, and thank you so much for your attention.